welcome to the Coach Kev vlog. I've decided to put together a vlog on running coaching. I jumped straight in at the deep end with the 100-mile training week. Now, the 100-mile training week is really the domain of the elite runner. It's probably something that started back in the 60s, 70s, went on through the 80s, and of course it's still around today. It's something that I've never done. And it's something that I thought I would try out. Now, the reason I'm going to try this out is because of CenturionRunning.com, I think they are. And they run ultra running events of 50 to 100 miles. I think they're all based in the UK. They're run by James Elson. And he's put together the Centurion One Community running community that surrounds them and ultra running to undertake a week run as an event. Now, this has been done because of COVID-19 and the lockdown situation and the postponement of races, of which they would have had quite a few on 50s or 100 by now. I entered the Autumn 100, which is due to take place in October, and of course we're still waiting to see whether that happens or not. And that is an event I've done before, twice with them. First time a DNF, second time managed to do 100 miles. Took me 26 hours, 11 minutes and something. Now, some people, because ultra runners are completely nuts, will be doing this all in one hit and running it within the 24 hours, or maybe taking a little bit longer, but certainly aiming at doing it as a non-stop effort. My time will be an elapsed time of the best part of 7 days, and some people's will be much shorter. But all that doesn't really matter. It's about taking part as a community. Certainly give me an opportunity to take a different approach to it, because I thought, oh, shall I do it in 100 as a one go, and I'm not really in a place to do that. Of course, there's all sorts of different approaches to doing this. You could run it as something like 7 times 14.3 miles every day, maybe doing that. You could run and build up to it, maybe run marathon at the end of it. Some people are starting big at the front and then tapering off down the bottom end. But I thought I'd take a more structured approach to it and do it as a training week. James, who I mentioned earlier, James Elson, and a running mate, I'm not sure if he's a business partner or not, certainly a coach, Robbie Britton. They both coach, James and Robbie. They're both international class ultra distance athletes, and they've done a really good podcast on this that's linked through the Centurion website if you want to see it. Excellent stuff about how to approach it sensibly, how to fuel the thing. Some people are also because they'll be running through the night doing it in one, so you're going to be on a head torch, all these sorts of things about dealing with the logistics of it. But I thought I'd take a slightly different approach and treat it as a training week. Now, I've never done a 100-mile training week, as I've said, but I have done weeks with 100 miles in, but that's normally where I have had an ultra event at the end of it that's been damn near 100 miles. The last training week I did with any seriousness was back at the end of January. I'm the head coach with Heart Road Runners, and I take a group out every winter for a long weekend. It's 3 days, Friday to Sunday, and we do 6 or 7 sessions over those 3 days. And I did about 43 miles at one of those sessions. And I would say 43 miles is probably the top end of anything I've done lately. Now, the main reason for that is I also entered this year the National 24-Hour Time Trial Championship, which is cycling, not running. My longest ride was something like 130 miles to Hereford. Took me about 9 or 10 hours or something. But I've been doing a lot of long rides around about 5-6 hours up until COVID, and now it's reduced right back. My longest ride's been about 3 hours. But anyway, all this is built up to a good, long, slow mileage base, aerobic base mileage. And I've found, since I've had to come back to running, that it's helped with my running. Certainly helped me weight-wise. So let's give you a little bit of background to what I've been doing in the build up to this 100-mile week. I got it up to 40 miles 2 weeks ago, and I have been tapering, as if that was necessary, back down this week, and probably only done about 15 miles this week. Did a bit of yoga this morning, which is Saturday morning. Won't be doing any running, haven't done any running today, won't be doing any running tomorrow. And then we move into the actual start of the week. So I'll tell you a little bit about the plan. Start Monday with about a 25-mile trail run, which will be a long, slow effort. Probably the speed I'll be going at will be something about an average of around 10.5, 11 minutes a mile. And then Tuesday I will be cutting it right back, do about a 5-mile easy recovery run. Wednesday I'll probably do a double, which will be something like 5 miles easy, so that I've then had a sort of 24-hour rest period with 2 5-mile easy runs in, and then I'll do a 10-mile in the afternoon, evening. And on Wednesday night I will probably do a head torch run, purely because the temperatures are forecast to be quite high next week. I think we're looking at temperatures getting up to 25, 26 degrees in the south of England. Friday it'll be back to a double day, probably 2 5-milers. Saturday a 20 and Sunday a 10 to finish. And the reason I've done that on the weekend is to get the Saturday 20 miles in, so that I'm not having to do a whole load of mileage to make it up on Sunday. But of course we'll see how that goes, because as the week goes on, things may not quite go to plan, and I might have more mileage to do on the final Sunday than I am really targeting. So that's pretty much the programme. Elite athlete, or an athlete that's more used to doing higher mileage, in particular 100-mile week, will have incorporated speed work, maybe some hills, a little bit into that. Mine's going to be a lot more base and even running, I guess, just because I am not in the physical state or the preparedness to introduce anything like threshold or speed work. So that's where it is. That's the point I am at now, and just to show you, here's my entry bib number, and I'll be out there with the Centurion Running Community, towing the line, as it were. Of course, we're not all going to be on the line, but we'll all be starting at some point together during the week and running together as a race. So that's going to be good. If you've enjoyed this video, please like. I think that's what you have to do on YouTube. And please subscribe if you want to follow on and watch more of these videos of my progress during the week. Thank you very much for watching. And really enjoy your running, and I hope we all get out of COVID-19 situation very soon, and we can all get together and run as a community once more. Thanks very much. Bye now.